Hello YouTube world, my name's Chris Tolland, otherwise known as Crispy T, and today I want to talk about a topic which is very scary and freaky and will upset a lot of people, mostly because it's not well known. The topic, it's called, well, mind control is the general topic, and specifically the specific topic is called Satanic ritual abuse. Now, I'll just throw a few words in to give some people a basic idea. They might have some pop culture ideas. Split personality, trauma-based mind control, a Manchurian candidate, programmed assassin, computer game. Basically, this stuff is real, and it's been going on for a long time, all the way back to Hashashin, the original assassins who used brainwashing techniques as well as cannabis or hashish to go out and assassinate people, as it was back in the Arabian times. But I'm unhinged and a little bit disturbed. Alright, it's not unhinged, but upset that some people I trusted in the research community, putting out information, doing a great job with a lot of topics, they find that this material is too hot to touch, and they sort of revert back to the idea that it can't be true, it must be made up fantasy stuff. Either it's that, or the people who put out the good information don't want this type of information to be released because it is so, well, the conspiratorial view is that they might be insiders, they might be leading us to nowhere. People who have a lot of prominence in the truth sharing and deep research community are often agents of the establishment. Stalin said the best way to defeat your opposition is to lead it, and that falls back into the Hegelian principle of controlling both sides of a fight in order to generate the synthesis and final outcome that you desire. And also, like a Don King boxing match, when you control both of the fighters, it doesn't matter who wins, you're winning. You're in control of the outcome. Whether one team wins or the other team loses, it doesn't matter because you control both outcomes. So that's an elite concept, how they manage society, and also divide and conquer is a bit like that. When you move in, as an empire, Britain would go to, say, Africa and pit one tribe against another tribe in order to control, and they have fight skirmishes and little fights going on, and the conquerors, the empire could come in and just take the resources while the natives fought amongst themselves. And it's a distraction technique in a way. As a part of the Hegelian dialectic, it can be used to distract, and also can be used to create synthesis, a final outcome that's desirable to you, and also controlling both sides. So Jan Irvin is a great researcher. He's got a website called Gnostic Media, and he had a fellow called Steve McMurray on to talk about MK Ultra in Australia. This is the website, gnosticmedia.com, Unspun episode 30 with Steve McMurray. Now, Steve McMurray is an Australian fellow from Sydney, and he's put out a lot of great material. He's coupled his research with that of Jan Irvin and Joe Atwill, the two fellows from Unspun. And the media that they've put out is fantastic, but unfortunately we're waiting on an interview that he conducted with Fiona Barnett. Now, Fiona Barnett is a survivor of satanic ritual abuse, and she is the sort of key central figure which spurred Steve to produce his research. So if it hadn't been for Jan Irvin and putting out his material, Steve may not have come across Fiona Barnett, and he may not have been motivated to create his website, which is Steve McMurray Report. Brilliant website. So, unfortunately, the material about Fiona's interview hasn't been uploaded yet, and I don't know what the issue is. I can only speculate whether Jan is too defensive, or he can't accept the claims that Fiona's putting forward, like being involved in human sacrifice, being raped as a child, and being even made to lie on top of a decaying corpse as a mind control fear. It's a fear. How do I say? It's so outrageous and so outlandish. You've never heard of this before, only in horror movies, but it's going on, and it's like covens. They're covens. It's a cult. It's satanic cults, and they're secret society stuff, and it's a lot of powerful people are involved in this, and that's where it gets freaky, because pedophilia is involved too, and we've had I don't know if it's continuing or if it's finished, but a royal commission into institutional pedophilia or cover-ups of child abuse and things like that. I think it's going to be just a whitewash, but we are hopeful. From Fiona's point of view, it's a whitewash, and the real questions aren't being asked. So I'm just upset that Jan hasn't put out the Fiona Barnett interview, and also upset. Well, I'll just also get back into other things. This shouldn't be such a long interview. I think I've got 11 minutes for my YouTube channel, something like that, because I'm not an official person anymore. But here on my computer screen, we have some material that I'd recommend. Whistleblowerkids.uk, and this is a website. They're the two kids, Gabriel and Lisa. They were involved, well, they still are, because it's ongoing. Their father, here, have a listen to their testimony. This is Lisa talking about what she was subject to. So that's just a basic idea. The Whistleblower Kids information is horrendous. It's shocking and sickening, and it's worse than any horror movie you'll ever see, because from their testimony, you can sort of appreciate that it's from the top of their head. They're recounting their experiences. The body language is direct, and it's honest and straightforward. There's no nose rubbing or chin, scratching or anything. It's just straightforward testimony. All the body language cues which reveal that they're telling the truth are evident. And the Ricky Dearman interview on the BBC has full of body language cues which reveal he's lying, such as dupe as to lie. The father was, the BBC cooked up a cover story to say, oh, he's such a good father, and it's just a custody battle that the mother's making up nonsense. It's totally not. That's another BBC lie. It's made to cover it up, because it's an institutional problem. Jimmy Savile, he was a pedophile, and he was in the media, and he was protected. He was a procurer. He was a pimp. And so there are a lot of people who are connected with this, even royalty. Prince Charles hanging around being pally with this pedophile character. So it's very big. And people like Jan Irvin, if they purport to seek the truth, and people like Herod Fenton on Truth News Radio Australia, they shouldn't put out information that sort of poo-poos this idea that satanic ritual abuse is all made up. So this is truthnews.com.au, Satanic Ritual Abuse, a primer for skeptics. Of course, skepticism is desirable. It's good to be skeptical. It's good to ask questions. It's not good to sit in front of the TV and have all the information from the news wash over you, and then you nod and say, well, that's how it is. That was the news today, and that's how life is. That's not being skeptical. But when these kids come out with hardcore testimony, which is very direct and unscripted and natural, it should not be called into question. It can be analyzed by people who know psychology and body language, and you can see that they're telling the truth. It's horrendous, but it's going on. And Jan Irvin, you should look into it. It's mind control at the highest level. It's elite corruption, secret societies, royalty, politicians, TV personalities, people who aspired to power and got it and won't lose it. If they decide to whistleblow, they might end up suicided, like Bob Collins from the Northern Territory or Justice Yeldon. They're people who were pedophiles who didn't get their day in court because they died, whether by their own hand or someone else's hand. They weren't there to carry the story forward or how would I say, release information implicating other people. So often, yeah, it's a serious business. Elite pedophilia, procuring kids, pimping kids, Satanism. It's heavy stuff, and it should be looked at, because these are the people who are at the top of our society, and that's why wars happen, and that's why chaos is allowed to happen. So bad people are running the show. But while there's sunshine and entertainment and distractions, a lot of people won't look into it. They really should. They really should. Life could be a whole lot better for everyone if they did.